What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Zach and Pat Show. I'm Zach.
I'm Pat.
This is the show about manhood, fatherhood, entrepreneurship, and the mentality it takes to be successful with those things. And we'll probably sprinkle in some helpful real estate advice too, because that's what Pat and I do. You know, guys, life can be tough. We can go through some things and struggle at times, but this is the show to let you know that you're not alone. So if you're someone out there going through any of these things, this is the show for you. Shout out to our friends at NeuroGum for keeping us energized and focused. NeuroGum is a chewing gum, as well as they've got some mints. It's it's got caffeine, L-theanine, vitamins B12 and 6. It helps with energy and focus, and helps with memory recall. It's got good nootropics to kind of help your brain work good. But I chew it all the time. I like to chew it whenever I'm working out, whenever I'm driving around showing houses, sometimes while I'm drilling in jiu-jitsu. It just helps me. It gives me a quick little pick-me-up without, all the jitters of energy drink. I'm a big consumer of caffeine, and, sometimes I think I need to, lay back or lay low on it for a little bit, or maybe I've had too much that day, but I feel like I need a little bit. It's about 40 milligrams per piece, so about half a cup of coffee per piece of gum. So get out there and try some NeuroGum.
I was chewing NeuroGum at literally 10 o'clock last night after a energy drink at 6 p.m. So I kind of hate my life right
now. But yeah, guys, today's it's another Q&A episode. These are some of our favorites to do. They're just they're always fun and always kind of spark good, interesting conversation, and they're a lot of fun. So we put some question boxes out on our Instagrams, and we get some listeners and some friends of ours that answer some questions or throw some questions out there for us to talk about. So be on the lookout for those. Next time we post it, if you're a listener of the show, make sure you comment something, and we'll definitely we'll shout you out. So yeah. So which one do you want to start with, Pat?
Just get rocking and rolling on this and start with what was your biggest dream as a child?
Ooh, man. It's just, I guess it depends on like what age, because I mean, I feel like was your play professional baseball?
Actually, no, it was play professional hockey.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to be a pro hockey player. So shout out to the guy who asked that, our French friend.
Yeah.
Louis.
Make St. Louis French again.
Yeah. So no, I grew up playing hockey. Hockey was my favorite sport, and I always wanted to be a professional hockey player. And until I got to, I guess it was about middle school, then that's when that dream changed from hockey to baseball.
Really?
Yeah.
And I mean, when I was like a young kid, I was never good at skateboarding, but I wanted to be a professional skateboarder because I was so into, I watched all the shit. I was super into like the Jackass guys and like all that. I just like wanted to do that shit. It sounds so stupid. And then I was never very good at skateboarding, but I just like thought it was the coolest thing. And I was like, man, if I could do that.
You know what got me into skateboarding?
Tony Hawk games?
No, Back to the Future.
Really?
Yeah. Back to the Future. Marty McFly,
dude,
and his skateboard, and then the hoverboard and all that. Like, I'm like,
looks so fun.
I was like, damn, I want to be cool like that.
There's so many like good movies that like have that like opening scene of like a dude like skateboarding to school, or like riding through a neighborhood. Like, I think we talked about it before, but Grind, like the very opening scene of that, where the dude's just like, just going like to high school or something, and it's he's just like cutting through the whole city, like jumping over shit, and like it was just like, oh, it's so cool.
Yeah. Well, and that, and then like, remember Three Ninjas when they're all riding their bikes to school?
Perfect example. Yeah.
And then you have what was the movie? Was it what's the movie from Disney? The
Brink.
Brink,
yeah,
dude. Brink.
Pup and Suds.
Rocket Power.
Yeah. Rocket Power. Yeah,
Rocket Power.
Yeah, super into Rocket Power.
Yeah.
Johnny Tsunami.
Yeah. I mean, but that's what we grew up with, and that was kind of the thing back then. That was part of that 90s,
early 2000s
grunge alternative atmosphere that we grew up with,
and wearing baggy jeans and
Jinko jeans,
and DC,
Vans.
Vans, DCs.
Do you remember those shoes that had the like plastic piece in the middle that you could like grind down rails wearing shoes?
Yeah.
I had a couple
pairs of Heelys.
Yeah.
I
I never had Heelys.
Oh man, I used to love going to like just department stores with my mom and like cruising around because like those tile
Yeah.
floors you could just like
Cruise forever.
And I just and now I walked into where did we go the other day? It was what's like that, a Hobby Lobby. It literally says like no shoes with wheels on the door. It's got like one of those stickers, and it's like a picture of a Heeley and like with the line through. I was like, damn, they like straight up called out these specific shoes because they were a problem. But yeah, dude, they were. I was just so into like anything with wheels and going fast. So like I just wanted to do something with that, even though I was never very good at any of that stuff. And then like I guess when I got to high school, I mean, I never really had that. Like I knew I was never going to play professional sports, anything. But I mean, I guess I like thought, when I was a kid, like if I could do something with that or something around that.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's funny how
something
that
with wheels and goes fast.
Yeah. It's funny how that changed because it went from, the skateboarding, doing the tricks and like the extreme sports to the more laid back of it with the longboards and people just cruising on longboards. Like my neighbor does it. He played in the NHL. He was a goalie and I've seen him longboarding through the neighborhood and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was in college, that was like, those were like really cool. And then, but I was in a fraternity and they were like, they would always make fun of the longboarders, so I like never bought one because I was like I always wanted one, like I always like secretly wanted one, but like I was in this fraternity and like they always like hated on the longboarders and shit, and so I was like, all right, I guess I can't get one if I want to be in the cool kid club.
Fuck you guys.
Fuck you guys. Would have been way more efficient getting to school.
What a nerd on that longboard.
Yeah.
Can I
GDI fuck.
Hey, can I secretly ride that one? Yeah.
Hey, you can say me if you like want to get into the party. Like we'll let you in.
Yeah.
I know Murph, but if people knew me at the party, that's because I was selling them something. But otherwise, it's kind of interesting though because like we talk about how the demographic changed from like extreme sports like X Games type shit to longboarding. It's kind of interesting though because like you guys probably watched it more than me because I actually was not interested in skateboarding at all. But like when we were growing up, because we're all pretty much the same generation, we had still like real people on MTV.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I would love that.
VH1.
VH1. I was
back
MTV
when it was
dope.
still a lot of like music.
Yeah.
Music. And then a lot of the shows on there I liked. Like I remember
Robin Big.
Viva
La Bam.
Unholy
Unit.
Jackass. I was like, I loved all that shit. Like
Wild Boys.
Wild Boys, Steve-O. I mean, all that stuff was like, I was super into that. And even like some of the shows, like I remember watching on MTV, like Room Raiders. You guys remember that one?
Yeah.
What was the one where they're on the bus?
The date Next.
Next was brutal.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yo, some people just walk on the bus.
There's a girl from my high school on that show.
Really?
She was the one that was next in these dudes.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, looking back on it now, like, God, that shit was so staged.
Oh my God.
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, did you ever see all the shit that happened with fucking Pimp My Ride?
No.
Well, there's something else coming out right now. Like, there's something new on Netflix about like and something similar with that. Yeah. But like, you go back and look at that, like they were because that's you mentioned that's funny because I was just reading this the other day that Netflix is coming out with something similar. But I'm going back and looking at the shit that they did. Like there was one like LED screens in the mud flaps. I'm like, what's the point of that? There's a car with a hot tub in it. Like,
right.
Why?
Dude.
Or it's like, well, she said she loves going to the movies, so let's put a popcorn maker in the back seat. It's like, what? Like,
no,
why?
because like they would stick you with the maintenance for these things and they would often fall apart because like, oh yeah, we pimped it out, made it super cool, but like the car was still usually a piece of shit internally. Right. So you'd still be stuck with a piece of shit car you had to fix, but they would be like, oh no, it's authentic. Like you need to act excited. Bitch, the dude is wearing a fucking wired microphone to his shirt. The second exhibit knocks on his door. Yeah. He's not that excited. He knows he's there, bitch. Right. I'm sorry. I'm a little testy.
I will say the what was the one where they viewed celebrity homes?
Cribs.
Cribs was dope. Yeah,
Cribs was fire.
That was cool.
Well, and
like the original HGTV there. Type
well, if you look, I feel like that's like kind of the beginning stages of this like podcast, phenomenon. Like where everybody's got a show now, and you can see more of people, and like you kind of. The vlogging and all this other stuff that's like become so popular over the last 10 years.
Voyeurism.
Yeah. What?
Voyeurism. It's when you're like a fly on the wall of someone else's life. Like,
yeah.
it's kind of why I got so big into music, because I could like have all this information and my knowledge of like how these dudes live their lives.
Right.
You know?
And yeah, because I mean, but back then that was all you got. You know, you got the one interview that when they were on, you know, whatever show or you know, the cribs where you get to see their house, but that was pretty much the only time that you kind of saw that kind of stuff. And then, but now everybody's got a show and everybody's got a vlog and everybody's got a YouTube channel, so it's like you can see a lot more people. But I feel like that was kind of MTV was the start of all
it
that,
because
you
you
know,
had
at
like
least
the
that's how I see
Hills.
it.
You had was it the Hills, the OC, or not the OC?
Well,
Laguna Beach.
Well, some of these are like dramatic teen
Right.
dramas, and some of them are actually real life shit. Right? I didn't actually watch any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
I was a weird kid.
Laguna Beach and the Hills were
The
like
OC.
Laguna Beach was when I was in high school.
Yeah, I was never
Yeah.
really interested in.
What was the
Yeah.
show? And it got memed super hard, but like it was like a season, and someone like gets shot, and it's like a teen drama, and then like What You Stay starts playing. You know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea.
Like there's like a really dramatic shot, and like someone like gets killed in like this teen drama show, like some good looking teen actor, and then out of nowhere in the background, someone with the sound design starts playing "What You Say" by Jason Derulo.
Really?
It's fucking hilarious, and it was like the end of that kind of style of show for a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
What you say? Oh, that you only meant well.
On WB was big because they had all
Bro.
those teen dramas, those high school dramas like
R.I.P.
Dawson's
Mhm.
Creek,
Seventh Heaven.
Seventh Heaven, which one of the guys on that show I played baseball with.
The dad on that show was actually apparently a big creep.
Yeah.
Really?
And then what was the other one?
Oh, I
The
love
One Tree Hill.
One Tree
One Tree
Hill.
Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. But the fact that you were calling it the WB is just like R.I.P. because it's been
Right.
the CW for like 20 years, and it's
Yeah.
so
Dude.
fucking. Buffy the Vampire Slayer was my
Buffy.
shit.
Yeah.
Malcolm in the
Buffy.
Middle was on that motherfucker.
Malcolm in the Middle. I love
Mhm.
that show.
That was great.
Man. Man.
But yeah, that's crazy how we got to that off of what's.
Yeah.
I'm talking about childhood.
But yeah,
That's
I
why
mean,
these episodes are my
that's what's
favorite,
fun,
'cause they
just
fucking
roll on and
go on to-
yeah.
Go on to the
So-
next one.
Actually, you want to really feel old? I was with Matty Ice yesterday, and we graduated the same class. Same as Zach Schroeder. If you listen, bro, what's
Yeah.
up, dude?
What's up, Zach? Yeah, dude. I got my neighbor's awesome.
Yeah, well, fucking no. I looked at Matt. I was like, dude, it's 2024. Do you realize like in 7 years it's our 20-year high school reunion?
It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my 20 year will be in 2 years.
We didn't even do like a 10-year thing for us. Did you guys do like a?
Fuck no.
No, I didn't.
We did. But I didn't go.
Yeah,
No,
I
they,
don't
no,
think-
they set it up. I just didn't go.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I didn't go.
We have
I
a
don't even-
whole Facebook page dedicated to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
never joined.
there's a Facebook page, but like I think people were trying to do shit and nobody volunteered to like set it up. or
No one
do
knows
it.
who I am anymore, and I like it that way.
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, there's with all guys schooled, you got guys that are really going to take the time to go and set that and plan that shit
Fuck
up.
no, it's
exactly.
the chicks
Yeah.
at the public schools
Yeah.
are gonna be the ones who do it.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
They're
It
the,
is a
they're
chick
the
who runs it.
They're the planners of it. They're the ones, so.
Right.
Shout out to chicks.
Shout out to
You
chicks.
guys are great.
Which brings us to our next question.
We do.
Whether or not we actually talk about that
Yeah.
one here or not, I
Yeah.
don't know, but it's on the list.
Next question. I like this one. I thought it was interesting. So let me pull it up here.
Also, my childhood dream was to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Well,
Don't
it's
mind.
never too late.
Great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah. Would you rather have 30 million at 55 years old or 4 million at 25 years old?
Dude, this is such a good question.
There's so many different ways that you can look at it. Me being the financial guy, I mean, if you assume 7% interest over 30 years, it's going to be about the exact same amount of money.
Okay, really?
Yeah. So it comes out to, well, slightly more, if like hundreds of bucks more, not like millions, but hundreds of bucks more if you take the 4 million at 25 years old. But here's
And
the
you
thing.
just put it in a
S&P.
S&P.
Well, if you put it at S&P, that you're going to have way more.
Yeah.
Because I did it at 7%. S&P's average is
11.
I think 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you did it that way, you're going to have way more taking 4 million at 25.
So what does that pay you for your 400? 10% interest?
Yeah. So you're getting,
Yeah.
yeah, 400,000 a year over that period of time. Well, compounds. Cause,
Yeah, I mean, I think I definitely do I think I take it earlier
Yeah.
Oh,
because
for
then I
sure.
can, because
But-
I can, yeah, I mean, I can, not only could I do that, I could also invest in other things. I could start, just, I feel like a lot of guys need that start, but it's also like, man, if you're just given, I don't know, you always look at like the lottery winners who, win stuff and then they're
Right. Do you have the discipline to
to
do
not
what-
just blow
right,
it.
Right. And so for like, I would rather take the 4 million at 25 because I feel like there's different avenues that I could take that money. Even if I took 3 million, invested it, and then I took $1 million to do other things like invest in real estate and do things like that.
Mhm.
I think that would put me in a better financial situation over the 30 years than I would just getting 30 million at 55.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Time's your best asset. I
But
mean,
But again, we're different. Like we're in the real estate business. We're entrepreneur. We have entrepreneurial. You guys are both entrepreneurs. I'm, sales, but, yeah, I think we think alike in how we would manage and do with the money that we would have to do things with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just think about what you could buy with $1 million. And that's the thing is you don't even have to buy anything straight out in cash. You can
No.
leverage
Leverage it.
loans and use the $1 million as down payment on.
Yeah.
On
How many
properties.
properties
Right.
did I buy with $1 million? A lot.
I mean,
Let's call Lee. Let's ask
Yes.
Lee. Hey, Lee, I got $1 million.
he's coming back on the show.
Hey,
Yeah.
what are we doing with that, Lee?
Yeah, where are we going?
Yeah.
What are we
How
buying?
many doors can I finance and buy with $1 million?
Even if you only like did something with 25% of it, let's say there's like a black swan event, like when the market went through recession in 2007 through 2009. If you had cash on the sidelines for that and there's all those foreclosures, you're going to be making a lot more than $1 million off that $1
hell
million.
yeah.
Or how shit might be, turning here soon.
Well, shit.
Think.
I mean,
COVID.
I looked at like if I go like if where I was at 25, I mean, that's a couple of years out of the crash, and I'm just like, what kind of cheap I mean, my parents' friends bought a foreclosure down in what is that? Was it Seaside? Somewhere down in Florida, like one of those areas, Seaside, Rosemary Beach, like somewhere in there, like $400,000, and they turned around and flipped around and sold it for 2.5. Just a couple of years ago.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, shit. Like that's, and then who knows how much money they made Airbnb-ing it and stuff like that. But
For
like,
sure.
that's where my mind goes.
100%.
People, some people like, oh no, give me the 30 million at 55. I'm like, fuck that.
It's like, what do you do until then?
Right.
It's like, and then also, yeah, I mean, like those are all, you're wasting all those good years, when you're younger and you got,
Right. Cause
all
you could
this-
get so creative with $4 million at a young age if you're disciplined and smart enough to take on that responsibility. Now, are 25-year-olds smart enough to do that? I don't know. I look back to where I was at 20 again, where I was at 25. I mean, I was playing pro ball and all that. And I look at some of those guys that I played that got signing bonuses and things like that. But they had financial advisors and everybody that were managing their money
and
and
you're giving them 10%, 20,
Yeah.
they're giving half their money away probably by the end of it.
taxes and all
Taxes,
that.
between taxes, management,
There's
agents.
If you guys, so there's a guy from St. Louis that was drafted in the first round. Awesome follow on LinkedIn. The shit that he posts, he's a financial advisor now. He was a first round draft pick. His name's Jacob Turner.
I see a show on Instagram all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His posts and like breaking down money and then like the sports aspect that he puts into it, like how signing bonuses break down and how these big contracts break down. And everybody's like, how did this guy go bankrupt after so much? Well, you're like, hey, look, he got a $200 million contract after taxes. It's really about $100 million. Then you take away what his advisors got and all these different things. And then he's like, oh, he's got an entourage and all these things. Like,
He buys bling.
yeah, it's amazing to see how fast that can go for people. But yeah, if you guys are looking for an awesome follow, Jacob Turner on either LinkedIn, so any of the social medias, his financial stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm thinking, I'm not sure if he's still here in St. Louis or not, but if he is, Jacob, love to have you on.
Yeah. Great.
Was not nearly as talented as you are. He played in the big leagues. He went to Westminster, drafted in the first round, I think back in 2009. But yeah, he would be,
Get them on.
see if we can get him on.
$4 million at that. What age were you?
25
25.
or 55.
25?
Yeah.
Or wait,
If you're-
sorry, 30 at 55.
I mean, shit, you could fucking live off $50,000 a year if you're disciplined. Fucking, that's just like with off 1 million, you could do that for what, 20 years.
But that's the thing is you don't like, but
And
you
then-
don't even have to live off the interest. You just put the 4 million in the bank and let it grow.
No, I'm
And-
agreeing. I'm saying like if
yeah.
you're super disciplined with like your cost of living, like if you just live off 50 a year, even,
Right.
like regardless of the interest or not, like yeah, because then you're just gonna have perpetual money doing whatever you want with it after that.
Right.
Fuck.
I mean, shit, even if it lived off 100,000, you're still,
Yeah.
if you've got 4 million and it's making 10%,
You're making 400
you're
grand a
making
year
400
profit.
grand a year.
Take 100.
You take
from that.
100,000 of that, you're still netting 300 grand. So you could still live off of it and not do anything. But for me, I would want that money to continue to grow and
Yeah.
continue to build something. And
Well, I just think the whole key to it is living below your means, man.
Right.
You know, I think that's kind of what it all boils down to is just don't, you know,
Well, and
if
I
you've
think-
got that kind of money, you just can't live like an asshole and just buy everything and
Well,
buy everything for everybody.
and I
you know?
think we're seeing a lot of that with people now that kind of got above their means. With everything that was going on, like with where we were at prior to, you know, inflation going up so high and all this stuff. But yeah, I mean, you know, I think time for people to start cutting back. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, there's-
I
I
know
mean-
that I've been doing it.
I mean, how many people? Yeah, for sure. And how many people do we know that are, you know, that I mean, it's people I talk to all the time in our industry, in the real estate industry, that people that kind of feel stuck.
Yeah.
You know, because they're at this, you know, when they refinanced or whenever they purchased, you know, when rates were at, you know, 2 and 3%, and now you know, they're kind of feel like they're stuck in the house that they're in because like if they were to go purchase something, you know, they're gonna have to pay so much more and their monthly payment's gonna go up so much. And you know, just because of the way rates are right now. And I mean, it's just, you know, it makes things more difficult for sure.
And I mean, that's the thing is builders are trying to build and keep up with what's going on. But one, we're limited on the land to build on.
Mm-hmm.
And two, you know, it's the cost of building.
Cost of building, because I mean, I think we have a lack of blue collar workers.
Well,
You know, that's a huge. I mean, so the blue collar worker, you've only got so many people that can build houses.
Right. And they're wanting, I mean, again, that's driving the cost up. I mean, the builder that built my house is building a new subdivision down in Fenton from us. And I mean, the starting price is $100,000 more than when I built mine and closed on mine in 2020. And that's before any upgrades. That's
Yeah.
before you do anything. I mean, you know, looking at some, I mean, like there's a neighborhood that they started just on the other side of 141 from us. Now, granted, that's more, it's a little bit nicer, I guess, fancier side, closer to DePere, than in Town and Country than actually Baldwin and Manchester. But those also started 100,000 more than ours. They built the subdivision had 19 lots, and 18 of the 19 lots were my exact floor plan and house. It's just like after the people went in and did their upgrades, these homes were like $700,000 to $800,000 homes, and I'm like, thank you,
Yeah, for sure.
because my value. I mean, obviously, we did some upgrades to it, and it's nice, but it's not like the standard upgrades that came with it. But still, I mean, that immediately shot the value of my house up
For sure.
big time.
Just
So,
for them doing it.
yeah.
It's
So
great for you.
yeah, Flower and Fender keep building.
All right.
So-
So go to the next question.
Yeah. Craziest real estate story.
Oh boy, I got a couple. I got one. I mean, I've got a couple where I just, you know, where I could tell stories where I was in really rough neighborhoods and definitely did not feel safe and shouldn't have probably been, you know, should have probably brought someone with me or been a little bit more safe about what I was doing, you know, and those aren't as fun, I guess, but I'll tell this is usually my go-to one anytime someone asks for a good kind of crazy story or like weirdest listing appointment or whatever you want to call it. So I have a VA, she's a virtual assistant. Shout out to Bern, and she actually just moved to Canada. And she's been in the Philippines, and they just moved to Canada, but she's been helping me out for a number of years. So she helps me out with a ton of my admin work, and she's awesome. But anyway, she calls neighborhoods for me a lot, and she got me this lead in Afton. This was probably about a year ago now, and this, you know, so I don't know much. You know, she talks to this guy. The guy's name's Larry or Lawrence, and you know, I think he wanted to go by Larry, and then we'll just leave his name at that. But he was over in Afton, and I don't get much other than, you know, he's 89 years old, looking to move, and he's in a wheelchair, and he wants to buy a house where the laundry is not in the basement, because his laundry was in the basement, and he has someone coming over to help him do laundry and clean up around the house a couple times, like once a week or something. And he would love to have a house or where his laundry was on the first floor or on the main floor. So that's really all I know going in. So I drive over, I pull up, I see the wheelchair ramp in front of the house. I'm like, okay, well, this must be the right spot. I, go knock on the door, this, old, and he's an older gentleman, obviously. He's got one leg. He's in a wheelchair. I didn't really get in. Oh, wait. Yeah, he had one leg. I couldn't remember if it was no legs or one leg. But yeah, he had one leg, and we talk in the living room for a little bit. He's like, yeah, I'm looking to buy a house where I can, I can get the laundry on the main floor. I'm tired of having this lady come over and do my laundry for me. But he goes, I'm really not looking to move for like the next 7 or 8 years. I'm like, 7 or 8 years, huh? And I'm like, okay, would have loved to know that on the phone, but hey, I'm here, Larry. Why don't you show, do you mind if I take a look around? Or do you want to show me around? He's like, he's like, oh no, go take a look. No warning, no anything's out. He goes, I'll just stay right here. And I mean, let me just kind of set the scene for you. I mean, it was definitely kind of sad. I mean, it was very, very, very dirty. I mean, the carpet, had these like black trails from him, like wheeling the wheelchair around. I mean, I look into the kitchen. There's, dishes stacked up like 3 feet high on the counters. I mean, just trash everywhere. Definitely smells in there. But it's a little 3-bedroom ranch in Afton, probably about 1,200 square feet. So, I'm like, hey, Larry, you mind if I just go look around, just kind of get an eye. So whenever, you are ready to sell, I kind of know what we're dealing with. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. Go take a look. Bedrooms are back there. So I, peek in the first room. It's kind of set up like an office, but there's papers practically stacked to the ceiling. It's a fucking mess. I can't even see the floor. I'm like, okay, cool. There's the first bedroom. Go into the next bedroom. That's his room, bed, standard, just messy. Peek into the bathroom. Same thing, just kind of dirty and messy. Third bedroom. Only bedroom that had the door closed. So I open up the door. First thing I notice when I walk in is he's got like a hammer strength, like squat rack in there. And that's what like the first thing I see. And I'm like, this is kind of odd for a one-legged 89-year-old man to have.
That leg must be super strong.
Well, but then I noticed that there's like all these like leather straps with like the wrist things hanging from it. And then I look up on the wall and there's like dildos like mounted up onto the wall. Like dildos and whips and like chains and like all this stuff. And I look on the ground and there's like porn, there's like VHS with like the boxes and like DVDs with like porn all over. And so he's got the rack in the middle of the room. Then I look to the left and he's got one of those, I think they're called like stockades, like where you put your head.
That's a stockade.
And you put your head and your wrists in like this. He's got one of those. And then in the other corner of the bedroom, he's got like one of those chairs that's got like the helmet thing and like the straps on the
really?
the chair.
Wait, an electric chair?
It looked like that, yeah, but it had like this spiky helmet thing.
Oh, an Iron Maiden?
I guess, yeah.
Wait, no. An Iron Maiden's the thing you get clothes inside of, and it has spikes and it kills you.
I don't know. It's got
what,
like
Murph?
It looks like a helmet.
Do we have got to ask you questions here on how you know all this stuff?
Have you ever watched a Saw movie?
A
No.
long time ago.
Oh, that's where that's from.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I know what that is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but anyway,
Don't check my
Murph
hard
got some
drive.
kinks over here.
yeah, but anyway, I'm looking around. I'm like, holy shit! Like I'm like, like just no warning whatsoever, and he's just still sitting in the living room. I'm like,
He had his Bible out when I walked in. Shit.
yeah, no, I'm like looking around. I mean, there's shit all over the, like it's just like sensory overload. I'm like, just
But
trying
that
to
room's immaculate, right?
I mean, that room. I mean, it's a mess, but it's like he's got this. I mean, like I kid you not, like there's like mounts on the wall where the dildos are like like they've got their each one's got their own little spot, and I'm like, oh fuck, and I'm like just looking around and I'm like I'm just trying to keep quiet, I'm like, and I'm like keeping an eye on the door behind me and shit, and I'm all of a sudden now I'm on kind of like high alert, and then I'm like, all right, well from here I got to see what's in the basement. And I'm really curious, but then I'm like, man, is this safe? So anyway, I walk. I was like, hey, Larry, you mind if I check out the basement? And I walk through the kitchen. He's like, yeah, go ahead. And I leave the door open at the top of the steps, but I go down there, and there's even more shit down there, man. He's got like one of those, the Ramsay Bolton crosses from Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
he's got one of those. And then there's like posters with like naked dudes like all over the basement.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, now I'm a little freaked out. And I'm like, man, I just put myself in the basement.
Well, but it's at the same time, you got a little bit of an advantage. You've got
Oh,
both legs.
100%. I got both legs, and I'm like, if this dude's moving, I can hear him. He's right above me. If I hear that wheelchair starting to roll toward the kitchen, I'm sprinting up those steps. Like that's what I'm thinking the whole time. Anyway, but nothing comes of it. I eventually run upstairs. I go upstairs after I look at all the even more weird shit in the basement, and I come up and I'm like, all right, Larry, well, we'll be in touch. Talk to you later. I just kind of walked out, and that was the last time I followed up with old Larry. And yeah, that was my weirdest real estate story.
So Larry is a full-on paraplegic that was into BDSM.
Yeah, I guess so.
God bless, man.
Yeah, Larry. He's 89-year-old. He was 80. It might have been 79. Now that I think about it.
Either way, he was in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. He was in toward the end. I'm like, yeah, I was so surprised. I was like, man, what the fuck did I just walk into?
Did you imagine those listing photos?
Yeah.
Like, dude, I got a little touchy when you told me like I might have to take down some of the shit that's on my bookshelf. I don't know how he's gonna do with that with one leg.
Larry, you gotta clean this up. We're coming up for listing photos.
Yeah. Let's get the dildos off the wall, please.
I mean, unless you want to be
Matt
like
and Blake are outside right now.
Yeah.
unless you want to be on what is it, Zillow's craziest listings or whatever.
Yeah. Zillow gone wild.
Zillow gone wild.
Yeah. So I'd say that's probably my weirdest one, man. That one, yeah.
That's.
I told everybody that story. Right after I left there, I called Gina and I was like, I just had the weirdest fucking listing appointment of my life.
You should pull up the MLS and see if it was ever listed and sold.
Yeah, I should.
Well, while we're here, do it.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the address. I mean, it was like a fucking year and a half ago. I gotta like dig. It's gonna take some digging.
Weirdest, I guess. Well, it's not a house listing, but the weirdest job I ever got offered was to shoot an orgy at EDC Orlando. I didn't take it.
Just recently?
Yeah, last November.
Huh.
So, like, you ever heard the thing about like swingers? Like, if a woman's wearing like pineapple earrings.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there was a super hot old couple. I'm not saying they're old, but they were like, dude was clearly in like his mid to late 50s, and his lady, it definitely had some work done. Definitely didn't mind being not shy about it. And so why I go to like EDC is not even just because like I like the live spectacle, because it's like hard to like get that content anywhere else. And they're like pretty cool. You bring in your cameras and shit. Love you. But I'm just sitting there filming, and like this dude comes up and he touches me on my shoulder, and just kind of shirtless and jacked. I'm like, oh, you're kind of old, shirtless and jacked. He goes, hey, I got something that you can really film that little camera of yours. We got a little orgy party going on later. You in? I'm like, participating, filming? Like, I mean, I didn't say no.
A little bit of both.
He goes, I mean, I don't know, man. Dealer's choice. You in? I was just like, nah. Well, I'm sitting there with my friends who are on 75 Hard during EDC Orlando, and one of them's like a devout Christian. He's part of Warriors for Christ, and I'm just like, I really brought you into the belly of the beast, didn't I? I'm sitting there loopy out of my mind, and I'm just like, dude, do you like it? Like, I don't know, maybe a little bent out of shape that like your wife just has like pasties on right now and pineapple earrings. She goes, hell no, man, it's his flag. I'm inviting people. I'm like, God, I hope I'm not like you when I'm older. Kind of similar story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
A little bit.
there's not a lot of craziness that goes on.
I like yours better than mine.
Yeah.
I ran into him the next day. I asked him like, hey, how'd it go? He goes, what are you talking about? Like, so I think that they were like on some hard shit.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have any crazy. I mean, my stuff's pretty black and white, and on my side of things, I mean,
because you're not exactly on like the front lines of going into the houses and stuff like I am. So I feel like it can't be as, crazy, I guess.
I mean,
I know you
baseball was, there's some pretty funny
you've got
baseball
some baseball stories, but we're talking real estate specific.
Right. Yeah. Real estate specific. No, but yeah.
I got offered to shoot some OnlyFans stuff too.
Did you?
And take part in it.
And take part in it.
Yeah. It was going to be POV stuff.
There's some good pay at OnlyFans.
And it's just like, I know what my lower extremity looks like. If I can see like my tattoo on my leg or that one mole where I know where it is, like, fuck, that's me, dude. I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
I've social media influencers. I've worked with a couple buying homes. So good money to be made there. So, yeah. I guess, if there's anything crazy, I guess that would, if we're going along those lines, I've worked with a few that are, we'll call them social media influencers.
Entertainers.
Yeah, entertainers that make really good money doing that. That's probably the craziest.
Make hay while the sun shines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hey, so
Can't do that shit forever.
right.
I encourage you never to do OnlyFans. I don't care who you are. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't sell yourself like that. Come on.
Let's see here. What do we got next? How does the election play into real estate and mortgage rates?
Oh boy.
Oh,
And content creation.
Murph's about to have a field day for the next 6 months.
No, 6 months. Shit.
Well, 4 months.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got to listen to that.
Yeah. So election's November.
Yep.
We're in shit.
We've fast
We're in
forwarded to this
July.
first debate where
Shit.
there's no studio audience
Mm.
and the contestants can sit down and the moderators are clearly biased and they have a mute button. So, I mean, I could go down my little tangent, but I think y'all know what I have to say.
Yeah. We'll save all that. But we'll talk about how it could play into real estate and mortgages. Honestly, it's not who is in the White House. It's who controls the House and the Senate, whoever's in Congress. So that's where a lot of policies and things are done and made and created. And whoever is going to spend more money is going to hurt us. Whoever's going to spend less will help, because right now inflation's high and a lot of it has to do with a lot of the spending that was done over the last few years. Money being spent on things that probably didn't need to be spent on. And that caused the dollar to weaken, and it caused inflation to go up. And when inflation is up, interest rates go up. So if, depending on who gets in there and they decide to say cut costs and cut things and reduce spending, that's going to cause inflation to drop. And when inflation drops, so will rates. Right now, the biggest thing that's really affecting rates is employment. So when the employment rate goes up, interest rates go down. When the employment rate's super low, interest rates go up. They work in inverse of each other. So it's not so much who's going to be president, but who is going to control the House and Senate. Now, obviously, the president does have the executive order power, but from what I've seen in the past, and the executive orders that have been put in place, they really haven't been things that ultimately affect the economy. I feel like they're more for, Murph, what's the right word for
Theatrics.
Yeah.
I would actually argue, maybe not argue, but maybe interject. So, like when we talk about employment data right now, I mean, the ongoing, I don't want to say joke, but like theory, which is kind of a joke, is that like the reason that unemployment right now is so low is because people are working multiple jobs, and now they're also accounting for the migrants who have been brought into the country, and also the public sector is hiring a lot. So it's like unemployment might be low, but does it mean are people doing better? Is that a sign of a strong economy right now?
Well, that's the thing too, is part of the jobs reports that come out does look at people that are working multiple jobs. And so, yeah, you're seeing an uptick in that, but like every week, every Thursday, we get initial jobless claims. So people filing for unemployment for the first time. And I joked about this a few episodes ago, but I want to say it was like 8 weeks straight. It was at 208,000 people were filing for unemployment.
And it was like impossible that it stated that figure.
Literally, it's like impossible for that number to not move by just on air of filling out the thing by 1,000 people.
Yep. Sure.
And so, but we've been seeing it. Ever since then, and I think more and more people started to realize it and call it out and all that. Now, magically, the numbers are going up. So, that as the unemployment goes up and people filing for initial claims, you're going to see interest rates drop. So the Fed wants this, the Federal Reserve, who controls the monetary policy, and they're like one of the things that they've come out and said that like dictating on when they're going to start cutting rates is when they see employment between 4.1 and 4.2%. And right now we're at 4. So we're not far off from where they want to be to start cutting the Fed fund rate. Now, everybody gets that confused. When they cut the Fed fund rate, does not mean they're cutting mortgage rates. Mortgage rates can be affected by the Fed fund rate. And
One follows the other. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, kind of.
it can.
It can. But so like it depends. So like, for example, when the Fed started raising rates, we would see when they raised the rates, we'd actually see when they first started, we would see mortgage rates improve because it showed that they were taking a tough stance on inflation. So when they raised the Fed fund rate, they were trying to tighten the monetary policy to bring inflation down. Well, that only worked for so long before they're like, well, shit, if they keep raising it, does that mean they don't have control on inflation? And then it started having the opposite effect. So when they started raising the Fed fund rate, mortgage rates would go up with it because after so long, it was like, okay, we don't have control on inflation. So
Janet Yellen, it was not transitory. Thank you.
yeah, that
Inflation is transitory. We expect it to pass over in about 6 weeks. 2 years later.
mm-hmm. So once they start, I think once they start cutting rates, because that means unemployment's gone up, inflation is low. When you look at usually, inflation is a 12-month rolling average. So whenever new inflation numbers come out in July, it's replacing numbers from last year in July. And we've been right around 3%, 2.6 to 3% in that range. They want to get to 2. When you look at the last 6 months, though, we are closer to 2. So when you're looking at a 6-month rolling average, we are closer to 2. But when we look at it as a whole of 12, it's a little bit larger. So where they came up with this 2% inflation thing, I don't know. It's my mind.
I think something that could be useful that we could do real quick too is also like, because I've said that having an economical pat thing would be a good move for us moving forward. But I mean, if you were to define what a good economy is, I think a lot of people traditionally have thought of it as like the stock market, which, I mean, the government will tell you 2 separate sides of that debate. But to me, it's really like, what are the prices we have to pay for goods and services? To me, that's a sign of a strong or weak economy. Would you agree with that?
100%. I mean, because right now, I mean, with everything going up, I mean, you talk to anybody, like they're pissed off about the cost of things and the cost of living. When the cost of living is, proportionate with what you're making, that's a good economy in my mind. It's not whether the stock market's doing good or all of this stuff. Like that's a sign. That means things are going well for that. But ultimately, like for me, a good economy is where people can afford to go grocery shopping and not feel like they're
Getting squeezed
or going to go be broke because they have to buy groceries to feed themselves.
I spent a lot of money on food.
Yeah.
I was doing my taxes and I was like, dude, most of my shit is spent at the grocery store.
Yeah. And it's just amazing what those went up. And that's the thing is like people are like, oh yeah, we'll get inflation to 2% and all this. I'm like, well, that doesn't mean anything's changing with the current prices. That just means that the current prices are going to be 2% higher in a year from now. I mean, the prices that we're at right now, like that's not that, and unless we get deflation and we start to see things drop in price, that's the only way we're going to see prices go back down. We can see it with gas. Gas prices spiked and got really high, but now they're back into the low 3s in some place in Missouri.
Yeah. That's cheap compared to the rest of the nation.
Right. And so, yeah, I mean, it just depends. But yeah, ultimately for me, a good economy is where people can afford to live. Their bills and their spending is proportionate with what they make and still be able to survive and have a good standard of living.
Wages outpace inflation. They're able to set aside some for the future in an emergency fund and make sure that their investments are squared away.
Right. And most people don't have that right now.
I mean, dude, I take for granted the last few years. I'm like, I picked a real good time to start my own business.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing though, is like you can survive this, especially starting a new business in the last couple of years. And if you can survive through this, then you can survive through anything. I mean, especially in the real estate market and the real estate industry. I mean, I talking to my business partner who's been doing this for 30 years. He's like, this is the worst I've ever seen it.
Really?
Yeah. So, just with lack of inventory and rates, he's like, I've just never seen anything. No one's ever seen anything like this before. I mean, I think it's inventory wise, we're going back to 1994 in terms of how low inventory. So
crazy.
Early years of Clinton.
Yeah, this is like they're saying that this is the worst. This will probably be one of the worst years in real estate in a long time in terms of things sold. So
that's crazy.
So if you can survive this, especially in our industry, You can make it through any. You can make it through any market.
Actually, now that in closing, now that you mentioned that, it's kind of interesting because when people, I'm very plugged into the political space, unfortunately, and a lot of the analysis that they say on like the Clinton era, which was like 92 to 2000, I'm pretty sure, was like his first term was actually really bad. That he was spending a lot of money and kind of like far to the progressive side on a lot of issues, and then he got re-voted back in. And he actually moved more towards the center, and that's why he was able to leave with a surplus instead of like a deficit.
Well, I mean, plus he opened up subprime lending, meaning and that
Bad credit.
Bad credit. And 0% down loans and income, like stated assets, stated income, things like that, just made it very easy for people to buy homes, which kind of it did. It jump started the real estate market and which was great, but ultimately, I mean, it had some lingering effects. I mean, I'm not going to say Bill Clinton is the reason for the crash of 2008. I mean, there's a lot of other factors that played into that and other administrations that played into that, but that was part of it.
Collateralized debt obligations.
Yeah. So, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good place to end it. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Very
sorry. We started off so fun and I ended it with some boring shit.
No, it's all good.
I think it's very useful.
No, it's useful
great,
shit.
yeah.
So no, the variety of the show. That's what I really love about
we
these
covered
Q&As.
a lot of different topics
dude,
today.
We got a bunch more questions, so we can definitely do a couple more of these in the next coming weeks. So
I'm gonna try to get some sleep.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, guys. Well, make sure if you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button for us, hit that like button, and comment what you guys thought below. Make sure to comment a question next time you see it on our question boxes on Instagram, so you guys can participate in the show. So appreciate you guys. We will see you next time.